Good morning, bears. Good morning to anybody who's actually able to get into this video here. This will be my first video for the Big Drum Bear accounts on Facebook and for having a brain fart all of a sudden, and for YouTube. That's what I was trying to say. That's okay. We don't need to keep YouTube too firmly fixed in our memories. I'm not always the biggest fan of how they operate, but they're a useful platform, so we're gonna make use of them. So I thought I'd make a video today to introduce myself a little bit to the community. I'm Aaron, as most of you know that have seen me in there. Well, I can't say most of you, there's thousands of bears, and I probably said hey to about maybe 20 of you, possibly 30. Let's see here. So if you happen to go over to my YouTube account that I've created for Big Drum Bear, you'll see that I'm a drummer. I've been playing drums for about 25 years now. And that, amongst several other instruments, I play piano, or at least I pretend to play piano, guitar and bass guitar, and fundamentals of music theory. I teach in all of those. Private lessons and group sessions as well. I do it in person and online. So that's the direction in life I've decided to go. Let's see here. I am a husband and a father of 4 kids, and I enjoy doing that quite a bit. That's pretty much the main purpose that I've got here. The rest of the stuff I do is just peripheral. How you two doing this morning? Hello! Is that a Shih Tzu?
Yeah, it is.
Very cool. I'm at a park right now, getting a morning walk in. Probably after I do this video, I'll get a bit of a run. One of the other roles I play is working as a chaplain assistant in the Air Force National Guard here in Illinois. I've done a number of jobs in the military. Started doing communications years ago. Joined it back in 2002. I've done a couple tours in Iraq, at least a year long, and then in between that about a year in Kuwait. And that was all between, oh goodness, 2004 and 2008. I did over 4 years of deployment in, over 3 years of deployment in a 4-year time span, 4.5. So doing the Air National Guard gig now, that's a good 1 weekend a month deal. Keeps me plenty busy, but leading up to that I still had time in the Army playing drums for them on my 3rd and final trip out in the Middle East. And got out of there, decided to be home around family, and joined the Air National Guard as a military policeman. Did that for 6 years full-time. But now I do the music business full-time, and I'm learning new ways to be a provider for my family in that, and to hopefully uplift not the musical lives only, but life all around for my students. So it's a pretty big blast. I enjoy the heck out of it. When I am not doing those things, I like to get out and canoe. My father, when he and mom moved down from Illinois down to Texas a few years back, he gave me his old plastic Coleman Ram X15 canoe, and it's a good 15-footer, good solid red canoe, but it's well over 20 years old now, I think, and it's still kicking. It's a great vessel. So we live just down this way. Out across that main road over there is the Illinois River, and we'll pop in there a couple different spots along this west side of the river, and a number of spots on the east side as well that I'm pretty familiar with, but I love to get out there when I can. One of these days it'd be nice to have a modest little kayak. That's significantly lighter, and I can just grab that and go. Whereas the canoe, I pretty much have to attach it to the car and drive to get over there. But I live close enough to an inlet where I could, or I shouldn't say inlet, a ramp, where I could walk from the house to get there. So that would be a blast if I could just pick up the kayak and go over there. But I think kayaking is a fundamentally different experience than canoeing from the couple of times I've done it. I like reading the Bible, not just English versions, of which there are many, many, but I enjoy trying to learn how to read it in biblical Hebrew, and even understanding it from the cultural perspective of the people that actually penned those different books that have been compiled together to form what we call the Bible. I discovered a while back the Paleo Hebrew language, or whatever it is that was the predecessor to modern Hebrew. Goodness, it's been about 7 or 8 years, maybe more, since I first started on that journey. And it's really just a hobby more than anything, but it's something I really do enjoy learning more about. It certainly makes reading that ancient text a lot more interesting, and becomes a lot more vivid in terms of its meaning and its application for my life. So that's a few bits and pieces about me. This is pretty dry stuff, but my intent for doing a live stream here on YouTube would be, oh, excuse me, sinuses are like that a lot. Like I got a bug in the mouth. My intent for doing a live stream here would be to occasionally have some percussion music and maybe some other things that I've been working on in my little modest studio in the house, and to share that with you folks, get some feedback, get some ideas. This video today is really to generate some ideas about what kind of topics people would be interested in hearing about that have a connection with some of the things I've mentioned in terms of my interest in my life experience, and how some of those experiences could be useful and helpful to you navigating your life. There goes that Shih Tzu again. Those dogs are hilarious. My brother used to have one years ago. We called him Fred. Yeah, dogs. That was another one I hadn't mentioned that reminds me. So I have 3. My wife and I, we have 3 fur children. We actually have a cat too, so that's 4. But the cat views us less as dearest humans and more so as the authorities. For those of you that might be familiar with Zay Frank, Sad Dog and Cat Diaries. That's a funny character, but last I understood he worked for BuzzFeed, so I feel sad for him on that count. The source of all knowledge and truth on the internet is clearly BuzzFeed. No, that's disparaging. I ought not to do that. Just getting out the gate, should I? Oh, I suppose a little disparagement of things that have earned it is probably warranted. So that's some of the meat and potatoes about me. I'd love to get to know more of y'all out there. Kikia, Coder, Coddington, Dom, Pinder, Kodiak, Drunken Bear. Just recently saw Space Battleship in the chat. I'm gonna leave some people out. I know I will, but I'll have to write some of these things down so I can keep track of who all of you I know. I met Axe Bear online recently. He's a musician up out in Canada. Definitely check his stuff out. Very, very cool guy. Writes some interesting things. He's got a SoundCloud profile with some pretty cool music. Yeah, just ask for, whenever you see Axe Bear in the chat, ask him about his music. He's a really neat guy. And then Minuteman Bear. Man, I really loved his tune yesterday that he shared. And I posted that on my other Facebooks. Tried to distribute that to as many people as I can, because I'd love to see a talented musician like that succeed. Love to see people grow. We've got some great groups even locally here in my area. There's a band called Steady Flow, and they're like heavy rock, funk, fusion type stuff. It's just amazing. They had this laser light show that they do with their live performance. Just unbelievable for a local band. But they get out of the local area. They've been out to Colorado. They've been out, I want to say they've been out south to Texas and some other states, and done a fair amount of touring in the last year or two. But they're just incredible folks, and I've shared a stage with them a time or two, playing with another group in this area. Another group you all should check out that I enjoy is Fanny Ray and the Soul Shakers. I just spent the last 3.5 months playing drums for them, and decided to, it was joint decision. I think I just stepped down from that. They have some different aspirations than I do. They want to get out and kind of tour this country and eventually go international, do some different things there, and I think they have the power to do that. I think they have the quality of musicianship to do that. But they also would like to kind of take the road of, excuse me, like going backpacking, hiking around the country, doing busking, street corner type playing and things like that. And those ventures may not be quite as lucrative for what I need. I'm a father of 4 humans on top of 3 fur kids. So I've got some responsibilities back here. I definitely tour for, a couple weeks to a month at a time, but I'd have to be back here fairly regularly for at least a few weeks at a time in between those. I don't know if anybody's familiar with a progressive metal band called Dream Theater, but I know they talked about that some years ago in an interview, that they really got to a point in their career where they just wanted to do maybe a month to a month and a half at most of consistent touring, and then break and spend time with family. I mean, that's really the most important thing. If you're not there for them, if you're not there with them, being enriched by them as well as enriching their lives, then it kind of, I think, misses the whole point of even having a profession. And the profession in the arts, excuse me, if you have any degree of success, can definitely be a negative force for you if it's unmanaged well. I think guys like Dr. Peterson would probably, Peterson Bear, is that, I don't know what Dr. Peterson's official bear name is. I think it's Peterson Bear, isn't it? I could be wrong there. And Big Bear, I'm sure I would agree. You can't let fame, you can't let the glamour of doing artistic endeavors, even when you might have thoughts of trying to improve the lives of people around you, you can't let that shadow your more immediate, close to home, and I say that as an intended pun, responsibilities, your close to home relationships. Can't let them be damaged by you having too much focus and attention on what seems like the greater good. Yeah, it's just not worth sacrificing those things. There's ways to do a musical career, musical life, an artistic life, whether it's, dance or physical art of another kind, visual type arts, any of that stuff. There's so many ways to do that, I think, now, where you don't have to become a giant. You just have to continue to get better than yourself yesterday. I think I'm drawing off of Peterson ideas there. So, at any rate, that's about 15 minutes worth of talking at you. And I didn't charge my battery fully this morning, so I'll let you bears go, but I'd love to, if you manage to sit all the way through my walking through this park here. It's a little dry, but a little interesting. I'd love to hear your comments and get some ideas on what you'd like to hear me talk about from some of the things I've mentioned. Let's see, recap. My name's Aaron, Big Drum Bear. So obviously I'm a drummer, that's my profession. I teach drums, piano, bass, guitar, music theory. I am a father of 4. I'm a devoted husband to my beautiful wife. And I've been through divorce from my ex-wife. I've been through the Army, 3 different deployments between Iraq and Kuwait. Worked in an Army band, worked as an Air Force policeman, work as a chaplain assistant now, part-time. I love canoeing. I love being outdoors, getting walks and runs, and being in the military still. I kind of have to do this physical fitness thing so that I can stay in it. Running has always been one of the banes of my existence. I'm just like looking to see if there was somebody coming back there. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with running, but must be done, and I feel like a champ when I actually get out there and get some good stuff going on. And yesterday I was doing sprint training. I got it down to a quarter mile in I think 2 minutes, and then subsequently I was doing like 145 or 150 for quarter miles. So I just did 4 quarter miles, and that equals a mile. I did that collectively in 7:34. So I'm shooting for bringing that down a little bit further and doing it consistently, where I'm not just running quarter miles, I'm running a mile or a mile and a half, and getting that down to around the 12-minute area. I'd love to be back in that range, or even under 12 minutes would be incredible. But yeah, that's one of those goals I'm working on right now. So I'd love to talk about any of those things and see if there's some relationship between the things in my life and events in yours, or events worldwide, because I've got my eye on a number of those things, not super well, like I'm sure Big Bear and guys like Crowder and Rogan and plenty of other awesome folks, Mr. Rubin, plenty of the cats I've been following for a while, Stefan. They probably have a lot more attention to the bigger stage stuff, but thanks to them and plenty of other sources, I try to keep a little bit of a finger in that business. Well, I said I was going to stop like 3 minutes ago, so I'm really bad about time, so I'll try to be more attentive to that. Enjoy this 18.5-minute introduction. What am I talking about? You guys sit through 2-hour Big Bear streams. This is nothing. Yeah, good to introduce myself to y'all. You got more questions for me? Please ask them. And I'd love to see some of you guys start a live stream, and I'd love to get into it when I can. I've enjoyed getting into Dom's stream and Pinder's stream a little bit. Vet Bear, I've enjoyed catching up with you a little bit here and there. Yeah, it'd be cool to see more people try this thing out. And we'll see where it goes. All right. Peace, Bears.